So, the creator wasn't satisfied with me just doing one part. She wasn't satisfied with doing one part. Now she's making me do the rest of the Spanish Fly Invasion. Back-to-back episodes of Spanish Fly Invasion. I mean, I can kind of understand why she was cross about my remarks in that Harry Potter story. But you know what? This is ridiculous. I mean, she did say, it's like, oh, just think of it as ripping off a Band-Aid. At least you won't have to touch it again. Unless Eurocat writes another one. He better not! You better not! I don't want to read any more of the Spanish Fly Invasion of Bikini Bottom, so I'm going to be doing the last 2 chapters today. And hopefully that'll be the end of it. I mean, these 2 chapters are not as long as the other chapters, and I'm hoping that the worst of it got done. I was thinking about waiting for Meg to come home, and I was going to. But I'm like, you know what? I don't want to risk her losing her temper. Not with me. No, not with me, no. I'm afraid that if I tell Meg about, you know, what the creator is going to have me do, then Meg will lose her temper, and then she'll go and blow up at the creator, and the creator, you know, being as testy as she's been, will go after Meg. And I can't have that. I'm not going to have that. It's like, no, if the creator wants to torment me, that's fine, but Meg is off limits. So I should be fine. I should be fine. I doubt these chapters are going to be as bad as the others. So I'm just going to get them over with. Right. Chapter 6. Team Songs. I'll try to do better with the voice acting. Right, let's do this. The fish trapped in the lobster cage went wild, but they couldn't escape. Patrick Pornstar tried to stop the countdown by attempting to eat the clock, but he soon found out that this was very time-consuming. Not funny. Mr. Krabby Pimp knew that nothing clears the room faster than a single by Debbie Boone, so he equipped his old record player. Don't Play That Song, that achy breaky song, could be heard from the mass hysteria crowd that trampled over each other, resulting in some of them limbs turning into delicious fish spread. But too late. The terrible song was already played. But the only thing it broke was King Neptune's patience. He directed all of his powers into his man-bone and erupted with brute force on the music torture instrument. Now that was an event that clearly didn't light up everyone's life. The people's hopes got high. King Neptune surely could burst then out of the trap. However, Neptune used too much of his magic powers to do this. He barely had any left and lacked the focus to recharge due to sexual frustration. "We're doomed!" shouted nearly everyone. I'm not going to bother showing all the typos, because if I were to do that, we'd be here all day. Well, all evening. And besides, it's deliberately written like this. Deliberately. Like, confirmed deliberately. "Quiet! I'll get us out of here!" announced Puff Mama. Confidently, I should say, snaping her fingers and jiggling her cleavages. So what did she have, like more than 2 boobs? Her boobs became enormous due to her nipples being inverted. Her milk lactated inwards, where it fermented into cream and boob volume. "Like the old saying goes, a smart woman once said, 'Fuck this shit,' and she lived happily ever after. We need to do the same," proclaimed Puffma. "How can we get out of here?" shouted a few side characters not worthy mentioning. "Relax, there has got to be a way," or I'm sorry, I misread that. "There has to be a way we can escape. We just need to think of a way out," said Puff Mama. I'm trying to base my voices off of how Meg did the voices. When she was doing the reading of chapter 2 with the old 2 ladies, the first old lady where she said she sounded like Mickey Mouse, she thought that was Mrs. Puff. So that's why I'm using that voice for the actual Mrs. Puff. She got confused about the characters. But can you blame her? I mean, the show started when, well, in 1999. And that was when she last saw it, was when she was still, a little girl. So if she doesn't remember all the characters, then it's understandable. I never watched it myself. Wasn't my cup of tea. Still isn't my cup of tea. The old Blobfish said, I know. Let's Pokemon go to the next door, or to the exit door. Which she did only to find out it can no longer be opened. She probably picked Team Violet, too. You better not enter politics with that slogan. You'll lose regardless how seemingly chanceless the opponent is, said Dickwed. Donna didn't care who will drown the line in this argument, as long as she can snort it. Ahem, said Puff Mama. I'm trying to speak, Dickface, said Le Pufferfish, the ocean's champion when it comes to sucking. Why should we even listen to you, since your husband died? The only man that you had in bed were Ben and Jerry's, said Dickwood while brushing off loo particles of his nose. Why? Because a sophisticated woman, or I am sophisticated woman, who is thinking with her uterus, that's why, said Puff Mama proudly. Besides, men like you bunch need guidance, 'cause all you can do by yourself is turn alcohol into babies and lifelong regret. She does have a point, said several people in the crowd as they were reminded that women are 3D printers. Okay, that's still Puff Mama reading, sorry. See, women rule, and do you know how women can rule, because every rule has a few holes in it, gloated Puff Mama, knowing that speaking smart to dumb people makes you look dumb. How can we think of that when we can only think of sex right now, said a desperate horny fish. That's it! I see the solution for this. We must fight fire with fire. If old man Jenkins can't get hard anymore and is bitter due to sexual frustration, then why should he be able to spoil our fun? We will literally fuck ourselves out of this trap, and if it's the last thing we'll do. Get rid of the word Anna. I'm not. No, don't bother. I should not be bothering. It's deliberately written like this. Puff Mama, said Puff Mama with lots of confidence. Okay, so the next person speaking is Larry. I think Larry was the horny lobster, so I'm going to try to do what the voice that Meg did. But how? Asked Larry. Not bad, not bad. Could be better, but not bad. Puff Mama explained. Leave that to me, but I need the help of everyone that's present here. Only with a teamwork of banging we can get out of here. You see, when I get stressed, I blow myself up. However, that's ignorable compared to how much I can blow myself up when I have a proper orgasm. Only my late husband could make me do that, but I have a feeling that all of you combined could just make that happen again. Once I blow myself up, the lobster trap will burst like an overripe Aunt Ruby's German green tomato. How on earth should we do that? We can't just all stick our wieners in you at once. That's impossible, even for your she tunnel, pointed out Dickwed. Hold on. I think Meg texted me. She did. Yeah, she did. Hold on 1 second. Just messaging me to let me know she's going to be a bit late tonight. That's fine, actually. That is fine, because that means I don't have to worry about her popping in while I'm in the middle of doing this review. Okay, so, that's where I left off. We need to somehow connect every man's penis. The more man snot he gets into me, the bigger I'll get. And don't worry, fellas, my period was less than a week ago, so any kind of accident can't happen. But how can we do that? Asked SpongeBob. We'd somehow have to find a system of soft holes that are connected to each other like a pipework, so all that man goo could be combined. But where can we get something like that in this place? The moment SpongeBob said this, Z noticed. Hey, noticed that everyone was staring at him with a more perverted look than a few seconds ago. What's the matter? Why are you all looking at me? Said SpongeBob with fearsome eyes. Okay, this is Larry speaking. SpongeBob, we need you to do this. Only you have what it takes. Take one for the team. I don't mind it in this situation. Sex is not the answer. Sex is the question. Yes is the answer, said Larry all weirdly. Is he still supposed to be speaking here? I'm just going to assume he is. You see Puff's panties, SpongeBob.
You want to know what's underneath those panties? You don't want to know what's underneath those panties, but you'll find out anyhow.
Why didn't they just include this as part of his dialogue from before? I don't know why they're separated like that. SpongeBob sighed and said, Larry, today I found love, but I also got scared through lust over and over again, so nothing can be worse than what happened to me in the last few hours. And I'm not scared of what's under those panties. Can't be worse than what I've seen before I went to work. Also, Larry, do you want to know what a futa is or futa is? Larry looks confusedly. Larry looks confused. I get it. It's deliberately written bad, but can you at least use good spelling and grammar so it's actually legible? No, I'm not going to do that because I'm making a parody of bloody comic snakes. You don't want it. I'm sorry. British SpongeBob. You don't want to know what a futa is, but you learn it anyway, said SpongeBob just before his panties fell on the floor. Everyone's boners were confused at that point. SpongeBob hated vagina with man flute. Hated vagina with man flute. Hated vagina with man flute. What do you mean by this? Have a vagina and a penis? Is that what you meant to say? A man flute? A man flute?
What is the meaning on this?
Yelled Larry like a rational PETA activist. It just happened today. Those damn chemicals and endocrine disruptors are to blame. However, in this case, with this brilliant plan, it's a blessing. We can do anything, yes, anything, according to what Puff Ma said. I'm ready. Now spread 'em legs, Professor Puff Mama. Wait, we need to have blockage of cum juice, shouted someone, or someone shouted. Everyone looked at what could be used. Then they noticed a small organism that consists 1% evil and 99% hot gas.
Well, this stinks,
said Plankton before getting shoved headfirst into SpongeBob's Peter Pepper and being ordered to not swallow till the procedure is over. With that being done, Puff opened the gates of pussy and Sponge Boob's peen clit got shone into Puff's inner goddess. Then SpongeBob Invertible's body got stretched so that every penis owner could use the communal sponge fleshlight. The rectum was reserved for Larry, and the armoured man penis got put in place for the magic to happen. But it soon became apparent that controlling the main hole was not in power of the lobster in this state. Too many other peckers were already feasting on Sponge Hole.
God damn it! We won't get anywhere with such organization! You peasants need a god for guidance!
Yelled Neptune as he grabbed Larry's behind and pushed his royal dong up the crustacean. He did that out of respect for Larry's relationship to the sponge, since he didn't want to see the shipping fail in such a short time. Are you feeling it yet, Mrs. Puff? Asked Spong. 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 Wrong. Despite all the action happening, Puff still looked unimpressed. That don't impress her much. So you got the peen, but do you have the thrust? I don't know what that was. Okay then. Her vagina is like Internet Explorer. It takes some time to respond. During the men love, the babes realized they are useless. Oh, the women. I thought they were actually referring to babies. And if they were referring to babies, I would probably scream. I would probably do more than scream. In fact, I would probably take this straight blade that used to belong to Meg, and I think I would use it on your cat. Hunt him down and use it on him. I'll keep this for safekeeping for later, I think. But they want to help too, so they decided to masturbate for the hard-working XY counterpants. Hey, Pearl, want to let me do some action on your carpet? Asked Donna. But I'm straight, moaned Pearlite. So are Nuddles before they get wet, and we're as wet as it gets, said the former member of the Buffalo Gals. With that she pulled of the panties of the Gig Lolly's whale and prepared for some tongue exercise. On this day, Pearl learned that there's nothing wrong with accepting yourself. Being gay isn't a choice. So are you implying that because she's being eaten out by another woman, that magically makes her attracted to women? Or you can just say that she's bisexual. Being gay isn't a choice. It's an involuntary thing that happens when J.K. Rowling decides it's your time. Well, J.K. Rowling had absolutely nothing to do. I'm just going to shut up. King Neptune needed more stimulation. He maybe lost the powers to break through the lusty crap, but he still had enough to summon his private time stimulation group to help the bunch to stay focused during their escape plan. The stimulation happens to be a kinky geisha group called Chinpo Kiryui no Juo. I don't speak Japanese, so I probably mangled that, and for those who are Japanese watching this, I apologize. Who specialize in singing arias while doing, I'm not going to bother pronouncing that. He stimulated his penis with the force of his bare hands in hopes that he could use just a little of his powers for the summoning. His penis began to shine like 1,000 stars. Look at my dick. Look how it shines for you. It seemed to work, but he had it in the middle of the procedure. I apologize, that was my bad for once. A brain fault, so he accidentally summoned green leaves. So the band of Japanese twinks dances and sang yada yada 20,000 leagues under the sea, surviving the same way that Sandy does. The naked men were only wearing tiny ivy leaves, but those were more than enough to cover their teeny-weeny members. Dickwood also tried to help and get dressed. Yes, sorry. I was just making sure the camera was actually on, because if I found out that I was halfway through this chapter just to find out that the camera wasn't on, I was going to bloody scream, because that would have meant I would have had to read the entire thing over again. Because that's happened before. Not to me, but I do remember it happened to Meg once where, you know, she was filming this really awful story, found out halfway through that the camera wasn't on, and she literally exploded. I heard her scream. I came upstairs and she was literally frozen in her chair like this. Yes, so, nightmare fuel for you. Dickwood also tried to help and dressed up as Sylvia Knight, Iceland's most fabulous super pop diva, and started twerking for King Neptune. I'm assuming King Neptune is speaking here.
Holy sea star, this is even campier than a row tense. Oh, then a row tense.
Than a row tense. What? He grasped, but it got the job done. His manhood was now like gold, the time-tested currency that always goes up, not down. Larry's internal tract was getting filled like a Thanksgiving turkey. Oh, hold on one moment again, please. Sorry about that. That was just Meg texting, asking if she wanted me to pick up dinner, and I said not to worry, that I'll make dinner when she gets home, so... Right. If I still have the stomach for it. I'll try to have the stomach for it. Yeah, you know what? Making dinner when she gets home will be a nice distraction from this baloney bullshit. Baloney bullshit, that's something that Meg says all the time, and now I've gotten to saying it. I actually kind of like the sound of it. I mean, sometimes she'll say bloody hell and stuff. It's rather funny. Hearing her say British swears in her American accent, or like some of you say, her Bostonian accent. I can see why you guys think it sounds like Boston. I mean, it's not a heavy Boston accent. I've been to Boston. Her accent is not that thick, but when she's with her relatives, I'd say it does get more pronounced, but I digress. Larry's internal tract was getting filled like a Thanksgiving turkey. Neptune was a hemophilia, meaning he couldn't stop the bodily fluids once they began to leak and was constantly chissing. Hopefully this won't mean the royal family will have the same fate as the Russian ones. Sandy got madder than a wet hen and yelled, "Patrick, you dumb peck of wood, go and bang SpongeBob's brains out. We ain't got time all day." We ain't got time all day. Nah. So Patrick face-jumped SpongeBob and did exactly what his Southern Rose told him. "Are you feeling it yet, Mrs. Puff?" said Just say SpongeBob! Puff still looked bored as hell and proceeded to eat the old remains of the once plenty Krusty Krab Happy Meals. She didn't have to worry about gaining weight since she got slender from chronic cholera. No matter what she eats, it turns immediately into a shit fountain diarrhea smoothie. Since she's underwater, she doesn't need to worry about fluid loss. You're under salt water. Well, I guess because she's a fish. The ones who are unlucky enough to be standing in her butt radios do get a good simulation of what smog-filled London or present-day China cities feel like. You know, I've been to London. It doesn't smell like shit. I mean, it doesn't have a pleasant smell, but I highly doubt it smells like a freaking diarrhea fountain. Squidward was running out of patience and started to yell at Puffy's vagina to hurry up. Vaginas don't work like that. You can't yell at it to do its job. Puff's vagina was too pussy to reply. Enough with the awful puns. "Are you feeling it yet, Mrs. Puff?" pleaded SpongeBob. Or SpongeBob. Puff Mama started to fail something up her square hips, and she made her first puff. No one was prepared, and Squidward and Pearl failed to grab on something and were accidentally sucked down Puff's throat. They were running out of air in the external tracts of pufferfish, but them crabs came to the rescue and went for Puff's anus. "Pearl, you make it! Use this as a snorkel!" he screamed while showing his wood into Puff's dummy thick behind. Pearl did hear through the fish blubber, and with no other way around proceeded to suck on the very thing that brought her into this world not even 2 decades ago. Squidward too needed to breathe, so he used his butt plug nose on Pearl to get some air. The cum started flowing out of the sponge's pores, but thankfully Rex was there to mop it all up and pour it back on the sponge. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy now joined too, each sticking it into SpongeBob's ears and playing squash with his brain. Krabs didn't mind. He's a patty flipper after all. His brain could get replaced with a sock full of popcorn and he'll still be able to work. The massive amount of jizz cum finally reached its maximum volume in the sponge, and Plankton lost his grip in SpongeBob's manpipe. With that, the grouped ejaxplodation. Again, I'm not going to bother showing you the typos in this story because we would be here all day if I did. Happened, and the massive load was released into Puff Mama, causing a total eclipse of the cunt. With it, Plankton too was washed down into the depths of Puff's puss, and at the exact moment Puff finally started to really feel it, and she puffed and puffed and puffed until she filled up the entire brothel, squeezing everyone into the glass. Sandy knew this was it, but she didn't regret a thing. She was willing to go to a watery grave for glory of America in this ultimate act of patriotism. She missed her home more than ever now, the wide countryside, the sight of cotton fields as far as the eye can reach, driving big cars while drinking every kind of Coke, the Walmart, Did that on purpose, I see. Spelling Walmart with 2 L's. At every corner, and her family that constantly watched American family dinner classics like Pretty Baby and Blonder after borrowing the neighbour's booze supply and trailer TV. Despite all that happened, she kept the thing that she cherishes the most close to her, her authentic Texas gold heirloom fillings in her teeth that are passed down by the generations. So you're telling me that every time your relative dies, you say, wait a minute, before you bury them, I got your teeth! Even if a family line ends here, she can die without regret. Gold lasts forever, just like Cher's face. Puff continued to rise like bread dough, causing the whole place to lose its shape and getting round. The only thing that remained in its place is the chimney in the middle of it, but even that started to get flattened. Most vegetables would be dead at this point, but Buff Mama is, as proven by her body freckles, a natural ginger, so the Grim Reaper can't take her soul. But they're stupid. Old Man Jenkins noticed that something weird happened them and took his monocle out to properly see what kind of shenanigans those whippersnapper heathens were doing now. Unbelievable! This is even worse than I thought. They are shaping the sin building into a bosom. They are about to kick the bucket, and instead of praying for redemption, they choose to make fun of me. Not with me! Screamed the old man bag. I'm not sure if that was the voice I did in the last episode. You want to know what? If it's not, then deal with it! The war machine sprung to life, opened its eager eye, focused on the lusty crab. I just love how the name of the Krusty Krab just keeps changing. Whatever. And the moment the red button is pressed, it's all over. No more sinful Bikini Bottom. No more stupid Americans. The world will be rid of everything that goes against Jenkins. That he grabbed the remote with the big red button and began to count down. Or down count. It should say countdown, but they say down count. 10, 9, 8, 7, and then bam, the lusty crab exploded like the second Krakatoa. This didn't go unnoticed. To this day, the scientific community refers to the measured sounds from this incident as the bloop. The massive shock values of the cum eruption blew away Jenkins into the deep sea. The rocket launches were distorted and made unfunctional. The entire place turned dirty, milky white. Ugh. And everyone inside the crab started falling from the sky, half comatose but still okay in the most parts. With that, the substances that caused all of this were cleared and have gone with the shockwave flow, causing oddities in marine life, who cares where. As the post-orgasmic explosion dust cleared, everyone slowly started getting on their feet, apart from SpongeBob, who expanded to the point that he was like a ruined Suffle. No one thought it would get this far, that only ruins would be left of the former snack bar. There's no way one could find a souvenir to prove that Krabby Patties were once made here. It's all over now. All what the citizens could do is to stand pretty in the dust of what was once their city. The inhabitants were dazed and ashamed, but they were still alive, and they all started clapping and saying congratulations, and it continued on till everyone was finished. SpongeBob said, "Congratulations to Father and Mothra, who conceived me, as well as to my grandma, who prepared me for this, and to all the men, children, and frustrated fan fiction critics reading this. Congratulations for making it through this chapter." You can take your congratulations, and you can shove it up one of your many orifices. The starfish clone flesh particles had been watching the whole ordeal and had just started evolving a mouth. All they had to say to this fuckery is disgusting. Now, I have more than one word for this fuckery. Yes, I think it's definitely safe to say that this bloody story was written with the intention of Meg being the one to read it, not me. I mean, this story was written after she stopped doing the FanFic Critic, her FanFic Critic web series. But I think it was written with the intention that if she ever came back, it would be for her to deal with. Well, she's not the one dealing with it, it's me. One more chapter. This one looks relatively short. Thank bloody Christ. Soft after the stiff. An erection joke. I shouldn't have expected anything less. Time passed after the incident. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and so on and so on. Squidward's lost parts of genitalia got eradicated off the planet, like the black pox. Well, yes, because SpongeBob ate it. And he dedicated several poems to then, but no one cared about that or him trying to sell his bathwater to all the thirsty clarine players out there. Ugh. Mr. Krabs got arrested for pretty much everything he did in the story, but thankfully the officers under the sea surface, are just as corrupt as those above it, so in exchange for some big favours he got off scot-free. Pearl didn't succeed at her original goal, but she still became famous due to setting a Guinness World Record as the mammal who survived the longest amount inside of a fish. This earned her promo with Ellen and Oprah, and she could cash in on the autobiography book deal. She felt like Xi Ling, the richest Chinese woman in Austria. Rex became a falsetto singer, and a darn good one at that. Sandy got an invitation that she's once again accepted in the South, so she and Patrick moved up to the Salt Fork Red River to raise their starfish squirrel hybrid children youngins to marry each other, all while carefully monitored from the nearby cotton fields by the blue blood ma and pa chicks. Well, wait a minute, I thought the Spanish fly stuff wore off. Why would they still be a couple? Patrick was forever grateful to Sandy. She's the reason he wakes up every morning and starts drinking. Puff's good deed earned her honorary U.S. citizenship by President Trump, who, on her wish, declared war on Japan for genociding Puff's kind after she told they have lots of oil. Puff also broke the world records for receiving the biggest load ever by any female orgasm, which was previously held by the ever-so-kinky gator snakes. Plankton hasn't been seen since the incident, and nobody misses him, so it will take a while before he can escape the vagina maze and Puff's muff forest. Donna reunited again with the Buffalo gals, and with some bad luck she might break into your house to chew on your carpet. Old Man Jenkins never returned from the deep sea, and just like with the deep web, the less is said about it the better. Mary and her ma forgot about everything the following day since dementia is a bitch. Larry's anus got widened to the point that a football could fit into it. On the bright side, he never has to worry about constipation again. SpongeBob's body was stretched to the point that it took weeks before it got its normal size again. During this time, he felt constantly sick, especially in the morning. Things really seemed to return to normal, until one day SpongeBob discovered that in every single full of the hole was a sponge hybrid embryo growing in it. The end. With a question mark. No, you better not write a sequel to this. You better not, or I swear to God, you'll live to regret it. That's all I'll say. Oh, there's an added little bit at the end. A moral to the story. Moral of the story. Everyone involved learned that no matter how tough and hopeless the situation gets, hope is the last to die. As long as you have friends who are willing to help each other, one can achieve a lot of things. It takes teamwork, personal sacrifices, and will. Then one can easily beat most obstacles in your path of pain and frustration called life. However, that more than obviously is not the case with you, since then you would have better things to do than wasting your time reading this garbage. Now go to bed. Sonny, I didn't have a choice. I did not have a choice. I had to read this. I was forced to read this because of my creator. This bloody monstrosity of a story. This was such a waste of time reading. Deliberately written bad. Just bloody stupid. This weird final chapter, the final couple chapters, trying to have like a moral. It's like, no, there's no moral. There's no moral. And then it's implied that the Spanish fly drug went away, but everyone's still acting nutty. This story. I never want to look at another story like this again. This was definitely oozed comic sneaks. I mean, you know, Eurocat said it had a comic sneaks influences. I think it's safe to say that comic sneaks would be proud of you. This was such an awful story. So awful. Well. If you liked today's episode, please be sure to leave a like and leave a comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I would greatly appreciate it. I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.